Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. We've got a new camera angle. I guess really it's an old camera angle, but I'm trying it out, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But yeah, we switched angles from over here to over here. So when I'm looking at the game, I guess you can see my lovely face a little bit more. But anyways, I digress. Today's topic, or today's video, is going to be a shard pulling video, as of course the title would suggest. And we are going to be participating in the champion chase, of course, for the ongoing fusion right now for Cassandra, part of the collaboration between Raid and Assassin's Creed. Now, as I talked about in my fusion plan for Cassandra, it would definitely be the smartest way to go in terms of overall sacred usage to focus your efforts in terms of shard pulling on the bonus summon rush, because historically and on paper that would be the least amount of sacred spent overall in order to get 50 of the fragments relative to all of the summoning events. But because my particular situation is a bit more unique than that, I'm opting for a slightly different strategy. So first, let's take a look at the champion chase itself, just to kind of benchmark what our target is for the day. In this case, we are truly min-maxing, so we're not going to try and overshoot by any means. We're going to go exactly for the 2,500 points, and you can see we're starting at around 300 or so based on, after some champion training, we got some rares from the campaign and opening mystery shards, of course, to generate food. But yeah, essentially we're starting off with one sacred's worth of points to begin with, and then we're aiming for exactly 2,500, exactly where the fragments for the epic for the fusion are. Now, fortunately, I was able to get four instances of the 25 fragments for the epic, so we do get to summon one of the epics this weekend, which is pretty spectacular. So that's another 250 points in the bag for free. And then I had also planned to fuse a couple of relic keepers alongside the fusion epic, and so that's going to be another 500 points for fusing two of the relic keepers. We're going to hold off on the broad maw in this case just because I'm a little bit further ahead than expected on this fusion, but effectively with all of these three fusions combined plus where we started, we're basically sitting pretty at 1,000 points already towards the champion chase. So practically speaking, about halfway, give or take. Now let's take a look at the overall shard count on my account and talk a little bit more about what my strategy is going for this fusion, or just the circumstances in which I'm opting to pursue instead. So we have 426 on the Ancients, 194 on the Voids, 35 on the Primals, and then 58 on the Sacreds. And of course, we'll be dipping into the Sacreds today. So ordinarily, I would be min-maxing it and just focusing my efforts on the bonus summon rush, unless there was a really, really juicy progressive chance on the first bonus rush, the normal one, and or I was close to Mercy. But in this case, as we'll take a look at in a second here, I'm pretty far from Mercy. I'm basically fresh off of a legendary, and so this is more of a gambling opportunity, so to speak, for yours truly. Now, I personally am interested in trying to collect all 5 of the assassins. I have a lot more stake in Assassin's Creed as a franchise as compared to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No shade on the Turtles, of course, but I'm just more of a fan of Assassin's Creed. So I do have an interest in trying to get all 5 of the assassins, mainly because I would like the avatar frame. It looks pretty dope, but even the baseline one would be satisfactory, but I digress. I don't really have an intention of using all the assassins together. I don't think they're that synergistic in general, nor do I think they're that outstanding as champions nonetheless. But like I said, I just want to have them just to have them. So this is my one instance of being like the Pokemon collector style. But anyways, how this ties into my strategy for this particular fusion is that if I can take a chance, a relatively small chance, because as we saw, we already have 1,000 points in the champion chase. We only need 1,500 more points, which is not that many points in terms of, or not that many sacreds in terms of getting the points. So if we happen to get lucky and then we proc the 10x and we get one of the assassins early, that means that I don't have to spend, a bunch of soul stones or 20 sacreds or whatever they're going to do down the pipeline for the guaranteeds. Could be a Deck of Fate, could be Hero's Path, could be some other thing. But anyways, if I happen to get lucky here, then I could just save resources down the line. So I'm willing to risk it for that pursuit. But also, as we talked about, I have a ton of sacred shards on my account and I'm not near Mercy at the moment. In fact, we might as well pull it up since we mentioned it a couple of times. But this is my Mercy at the moment, so we're 2 sacreds in, meaning we're basically fresh off of a legendary. So it would behoove of me to try and get deeper or closer to Mercy, just in case there is a sacred pogo coming near in the near term. There was one last year around that time, the MLK Day time frame, where the current bonus summon rush is. So there is a chance that there could be another one there. And as it stands right now, I'm not really in position to participate in that one at least efficiently participate in that one. So the worst case outcome of the session is that we build up Mercy, we get closer to that, and that would make the bonus summon rush that much more enticing, assuming, again, that there is a POGO event. That is not confirmed. We'll have to see if that is the case. But then if we do get a legendary, then there's always the small chance, albeit, 5%-ish chance, but there is still a chance that we could get one of the assassins early, and then that could, again, save me resources in the future. So that's kind of my thinking around this particular fusion and these shard events. So with all that said, let's get right into the action here. Let's dive into the shard pools. We got tons of space, we got tons of cash, and hopefully we get some pretty decent. We're going to need some pretty decent luck. I think it's like a 5% chance that if we get a legendary, it's going to be the one selected from the 10x. But yeah, worst, or I guess maximum, we're going to pull 6 sacreds. That's just how many points we need to get in the champion chase. 1,500 points, 6 sacreds. So it's not even that big of an investment, which again is kind of the thinking behind this one. But Franox here, I've heard she hits relatively hard for an epic, but I've not personally built her, so I can't attest to that myself. But nonetheless, multipliers are online, so you could verify that yourself. Kaden, sacred number 2, decent champion, AoE decreased attack, even though it's not, or no, it is 100% when you book it. Never mind, almost lied. And then it is a 2 ally revive here with increased defense on them for 1 turn. Serviceable, but not the best support champion for Dark Elves. But again, it depends who you have on your account. 3rd epic in a row, Thylesia, one of the, if not the most accessible debuffer in the Knight's Rev in terms of AoE decreased defense on this ability. But she does also have the ability to place Hex on her passive if they're under decreased defense, as well as extend debuffs on the enemies, meaning that you could effectively keep up decreased defense 100% of the time as long as you're faster than the enemies. Sacred number 4, we're getting close to the end here already. So fast, so quick. Deacon Armstrong, basically a legendary in disguise, super strong with the extra turn here on the turn meter increase and decrease of 15%, followed by the AoE decrease defense. Super solid champion. Great early game. I think he's still one of the promo code champions you might be able to start off the game with. And he's basically a cheat code for your first few dungeon teams. Next up, we will have our 5th sacred, I believe, another epic, unfortunately, and it is Delver, who is relatively underwhelming. And our last chance, can we get the assassin from the 10x? No, we can't even get a legendary, so it doesn't matter. But Erdicata, champion who I've always been curious to use, and I did actually end up 6-starring a copy of her on my account, but I've never used her in anything in particular. But Hex here, and then poison sensitivity here, and then she has a chance to increase duration of poisons. You might wonder, where on earth are the poisons in her kit? They're on the passive. So as long as herself or any other ally lands a critical hit on an enemy under Hex, you have a chance of placing poison. So in theory, you could stack up a lot of poisons on a given enemy. But in practice, I've never seen anyone actually make usage of that capability here. But yeah, let's check in on the Champion Chase tournament. So I believe my math is correct, and we should be exactly, at 20, or a little bit beyond 2,500 points. So we basically can stop there. There's not much of an incentive to pull much further. Of course, RNG could be more in our favor, but at this point, this is the worst case scenario where we only got epics, and so we've built up Mercy, I guess, +6, so we're at 8. Out of the 12. And so, of course, not exactly being in Mercy isn't the most ideal scenario for a POGO event, but if I wanted to snag the extra fragments from the bonus summon rush and skip Dungeon Diver or something, for example, then going all in for the POGO could end up being useful in terms of the larger scheme of things. But it kind of depends if there's a progression chance event, or is there a boosted champion event, or is something else going on. Who knows exactly what it's going to be during that time frame. But I think the key here is that I have the flexibility to participate in whichever shard event I choose at this point, and we only had to invest 6 sacreds, which to me is a relatively small number. So there you have it. That's going to do it for today's shard pulling session. No luck in this one, but nonetheless, this is one of the rare occasions where we're going for the more gambly YOLO type of strategy. So there you go. Sometimes I even cave and give in to the potential for things to happen. Let me know in the comment section down below what your plan is relative to shards, assuming you are going for the fusion, of course, for this fusion. As always, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel, and feel free to hit the subscribe button down below as well, if and only if you're enjoying the content overall on this channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.